Hi guys, I'm Woodcraft Hamster and I thought I'd do another quick carving video for you today. So this is part 2 of carving a bowl from some Applewood, and this is where we got to last time. Now hopefully you can see there I've sort of tidied up the bowl a little bit. I've kind of smoothed it out a bit, deepened it ever so slightly, and I've also just cut off the big piece of waste that we had on the other end that I was using to screw the piece down, because I no longer need to do that. Now what I've also done actually, before I move back, I've just put 4 lines here. One there, and one there. Now basically what this is going to allow me to do is to cut down these lines with my saw, and then I can cut in with my axe from the other side here, and basically remove these chunks of wood and just hopefully be left with the handles on either side. Now the first thing I'm going to do before I do that is to remove some material from the bowl side on either end. That will make these end pieces narrower, which basically just means there's less work for me to do with the saw, and it's a lot easier just to sort of hack away with your axe, remove a large amount of material, and it just makes the saw cuts a little bit easier to do. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to move the camera a little bit closer in and we'll make a start. Right then guys, well hopefully you've got a fairly good view there. Checking my screen, make sure you can see me okay. And what I want to do is, where I've got the 2 handles either side, I want to start curving this area down so that we're getting closer to the bowl shape. And the easiest way to do that is to use the axe. Now all I'm going to start is starting the corners here and here, start refining those down. I've actually put a line in the centre of the back piece here, just to mark out where the centre of my bowl is so that I don't start going too far. And all you're going to do is just start off in the corners, like so. And what you want to do from that point onwards is just start coming round on the new corners that you're creating, like so. And it really is just that simple. You just keep working round, and then essentially start the whole process over again. Now I like to do this quite slowly and methodically. Now you want to keep an eye on where your bowl is in comparison to where you're carving, and I've still got plenty of waste material here to go. But what you want to do is just keep continuously checking it, make sure you're not going too far in any one direction, make sure you're not getting too close to that bowl, and just basically take it at a fairly slow speed. I mean, I've said this in other videos, but it's very, very easy to take off too much material. Especially if you're using big powerful swings, so I try and take off sort of fairly small amounts in one go, and you know, slow and steady wins the race in this particular case. The other thing hopefully you've noticed is that I'm keeping my hand very close to the top of the piece here. I'm not having my fingers sort of coming over the side. That's where this bowl actually becomes quite useful, because you can put your hand in it to get a good grip. You can put your thumb across the top here, and as long as you're not cutting with your axe below that, above that centre line, your fingers are going to be fairly safe, unless you have a sort of, you know, a real accidental mishap. So I think what I'll do, guys, I'm going to do a little bit of work on this side, I'll flip it over and carry on the other side, and I'll come back once we've made a bit of progress. So we're making a bit of progress, guys. As you can see on this side, we're starting to get that kind of bowl shape starting, certainly down here. This side's still a bit thicker. And just one thing I wanted to quickly point out before I carry on is that when you've got a large piece of material, especially like here at the bottom, and you're trying to cut in like this with your axe, sometimes it can get a little bit difficult. You can't quite get the angle on the material, you can't quite get the angle with the axe. And one little tip from me is that what you can do is you can actually rotate your piece up, so you've actually got a much larger area under here, and you can basically get in at a much better, a much tighter angle to start taking pieces off. And that works particularly well if you're trying to do something like this, where you're trying to get your sort of rounded off area along here. So we're starting to see the bowl shape coming through. Hopefully that's picking up okay on the camera there. You know, we've got a little bit of a curve forming on the bottom here. By no means finished, but what I now want to do is put these saw cuts in. And I'm not sure if you can see particularly well on the camera there, but I've left about a ½ inch on each side, so we're not coming all the way to the edge of the bowl, because that will cause us problems later on. So I've left about ½ inch to play with, and what I'm going to do is just put these saw cuts in. Let me just find something that will probably work well for us. So again, because I'm not using a vise, I'm just using something to brace the wood against. And what I think I'll do is I'll do the first cut on camera, then I'll cut away, finish off the rest. Now this is one of my silky saws, which is particularly good for cutting green wood, as is the Batoning Laplander, which I also use. You can use a normal wood saw for this, but it can take a little bit longer because the teeth tend to get gummed up with the green wood. So there we go, that's first cut in. Not sure if you can see that on the camera. There you go, that's probably about right. So what I'll do, I'm going to go away and do the other 4 cuts, and we'll come back and move on to the next step. So there we go, guys, that's 4 cuts, 2 on the top, 2 on the bottom. And now really all I want to do is just batten these down to the lines. Now this is where things could potentially go a bit wrong. So what I'm going to do is make sure I leave a little bit of excess, bring that a bit closer actually. So the line obviously comes here. I'm probably going to put my axe maybe here, so that I'm going to have a little bit to pare away with my knife, but it's much safer to do it that way as far as risking a split. So let me just line that up. And again, all you're trying to do is just batten down to meet up with those cuts. Nice and gently, not too much force. You'll get a piece like this come away. That can go for waste, and you've got a tiny little bit left to pare down with your knife later on, which is fine. So I'm going to do all 4 of these quite quickly. I'll do it on camera, just so you can see what I'm doing. Last one. Last one doesn't want to play. Now this is quite a good example here, guys, so hopefully you can see this where my thumb is. The split that's developing down here is actually trying to run slightly past the line that I've cut. It's not a huge problem as long as you catch it early like that, and all you need to do, grab your saw, provided you've got room to do it, and just extend that cut just a little bit further along, and and then you can try that again. So again, and there you go. So essentially you may have lost a very small amount of material. That's fine, we can tidy that up later, and essentially this is what we're left with. Right then guys, well that's where I'm going to leave it for today. So we now have this kind of cross-shaped affair. We've got the two handles just here. We've made a little bit of a start on rounding off the bowl. There's still plenty of waste material left on here, and that's what we're going to be looking at removing next time. But essentially, you know, we're getting sort of about halfway there. I'm pretty pleased with it so far. The Applewood is carving and cutting very nicely. It's still very, very green. It's very, very heavy because of the moisture in there. And that's what we need to try and be careful of, make sure we don't get any splitting or cracking while it's drying out. One thing I meant to mention earlier is I've been saving all of the shavings from this in a plastic bag, and that's where this is going to be living for the next couple of days until I come back and do some more work on it. And that's basically it. So I hope it was useful guys. Comments and questions in the box below. Hit like and subscribe if you'd like to see more, and I hope you'll all join me next time. Thanks guys.